From the way we buy to the way we work and live, and especially the way people do business, everything changes very quickly due to the new era that we're entering, which experts refer to as the new arbitrage economy. Thanks to this, we can see so many 20-something-year-olds taking advantage of it and managing to get paid as much as a medical specialist every month without having any previous work experience. And if you want to learn how you can take advantage of it, pay close attention as I explain the way you can create an online business with virtually no startup capital by using this simple, beginner-friendly business model and manage to receive paychecks with lots of zeros in a matter of weeks. Just to be clear, this business model doesn't require selling thousands of units or investing all of your savings, nor does it require spending years of working more than 10 hours a day, and you must be wondering how the hell it works. The answer is very simple. By taking advantage of the new arbitrage economy, you unfairly benefit from being the early bird in an exploding industry, which makes this model very beginner-friendly. The reason most people fail when starting their first online business is that instead of taking time to evaluate certain business models on a fundamental level, they jump into what they've seen other people manage to succeed at. So if you're thinking about something like dropshipping, Amazon FBA, affiliate marketing, or info products to be your first online business, then think again, because although they are indeed very profitable, these are simply not beginner-friendly business models. Instead, you should choose one that is realistically attainable for beginners, and let me show you how. Think of it as a new video game and imagine starting from the hardest mode rather than building your way up. It wouldn't work, right? But business is far more serious than a game because aside from spending tons of time and getting very frustrated, you also lose your entire savings by investing in it. However, if you spend some time evaluating different business models available and finding out how beginner-friendly they are before you risk and put all your money into one, the odds that your story ends up being successful are much bigger. Let's take a look at 6 important metrics that come into play when evaluating them. Number 1, unitary gain, which determines the amount of money you make per transaction. Number 2, startup capital, determines the amount of money you need to invest to get the business off the ground. Number 3, profit margins. It's the amount you keep out of everything you make in revenue. Number 4, demand is the number of people in the market looking to buy your product or service. Number 5, fulfillment is the process of delivering the product or service your customers purchase. And number 6, deal type decides whether you get paid once or recurrently. Now let's see why, for example, affiliate marketing is not a very good choice for beginners. Aside from knowing that it is when you sell other people's products and get a commission from them, do you actually know the way it works? Do you know that its unitary gain is somewhere between $50 and $250 on average, meaning that if you want to make, let's say, $10,000 a month with it, you would have to sell from 40 to 200 units. Although this may seem easy, it actually requires a lot of marketing skills as well as capital to invest. Not only that, but it also requires a lot of startup capital, starting from $1,000 and going up to $5,000 to invest. And remember, if you don't know exactly what you are doing, it all goes down the drain because money invested is money forever gone. Now you may say, but how can it be gone if I made $10,000 from the units I sold? Well, let me remind you that in order to make each sale, you need to invest in ads. So just a fraction of it is actually your profit because somewhere from 60 to 90% of the revenue goes into ads. So in this case, in perfect conditions, you are only going to be able to keep $1,000 to $4,000. Now, when it comes to demand, it varies on a product-by-product basis, so you may be selling a product with high demand. You must also keep in mind that it also has a lot of competition as it is sold by many people. The only advantage of affiliate marketing is fulfillment because once the sale is done, there's nothing else for you to do since the owner of the product takes care of it from there. And finally, the deal type, which is usually one-off and means that you get paid once for the sale and that's it. We're not going to waste your time going into all of them in order to convince you they're not suitable for beginners, so let's find out which ones in fact are beginner-friendly. In your ideal business model, unitary gain should ideally require just a handful of sales to get you to $10,000 a month, which means it should sell for at least $1,500. Your startup capital should be as close as possible to zero because as a beginner, you probably don't have that much money to risk going to waste, so you practically wouldn't want to invest a lot until you have a consistent source of income that would pay for it. When it comes to margins, you would want something that costs very little so you could keep between 60 to 98% of what you make. You would also choose something with high demand because it makes it easier to sell. Whereas for fulfillment, it's important that it is something that is very easy to fulfill, taking little to no time. The ideal deal type would be to have something that sells once but pays you recurrently every single month, because this way each sale will stack up on others, providing you with a higher payout than the previous month. Now that we have a list of conditions this perfect business model has to fulfill, we only need to find out which one it is and if it even exists. I'm confident to say that it does, so let me introduce you to a service-based business. It's a business where clients are willing to pay anywhere from $1,050 to $10,000, but not as a one-time payment. We're talking about the recurrent monthly payment of $1,050 to $10,000 a month. This business model also doesn't require any startup capital because all you need is a business email. The best thing is that the margins are very high and range between 60 to 97%, depending on the way you're fulfilling the service. In the past 2 years, millions of businesses had been watching their main sources of revenue vanish in front of their eyes, which is exactly when online businesses started flourishing. With everything that had been happening to the world, millions of businesses started looking for someone to sell their products or services online and were willing to pay a great amount of money for that because otherwise they would end up having to close their businesses and go bankrupt. This includes some of the world's biggest companies for which $10,000 a month is actually a very small fee, but it also includes smaller businesses like local bakeries, hair salons, or realtors who know what the consequences will be if they don't start selling online immediately. This brings us to our perfect business model, the ROI marketing services for small businesses. This time is a perfect chance to start it, so let's see how to use it, even if you think that you actually don't know the way in which you could help these businesses sell. That's exactly where this new arbitrage economy comes into action. So, compared to the way things were before, the businesses that are succeeding now are not the ones that have a final solution, but the ones that connect the end consumer to the final product and set their own prices for doing so. The best example of this is Uber, which connects drivers to passengers without owning any vehicles or drivers. Also, Airbnb offers accommodation without owning any properties. AliExpress and Alibaba don't own or produce any products, and even TikTok, as one of the biggest production apps nowadays, doesn't produce any content. What all these businesses are doing is that they're arbitraging supply and demand by finding customers with a problem and connecting them to the solution. They do all of that under their brand, which enables them to have a solid markup on their services. With this business model, you can do the exact same thing, so you would basically be in charge of finding contractors to do great yet affordable work for you. Your tasks would consist of selling ROI marketing services to local businesses and then finding someone else to fulfill it for you. The best thing is that by doing so, you can manage to earn anywhere from $1,050 to $10,000 per month per client. By doing this type of work, you don't need to deal with inventory and shipping, nor do you need to make hundreds of sales to make a decent income. You also don't have to invest anything to get the business running, and most importantly, someone else takes care of the fulfillment for you. So you basically don't need to have any skills or experience and still manage to do the work successfully, which is exactly why this business model is perfect for beginners. Let's take a look at a 4-step strategy that will help you start earning money from your own ROI marketing agency. Number 1, setup. You should first choose the name of your agency, and don't overthink this because it doesn't matter at all. You will then need to buy a business domain and set up your business email. Number 2, pick. The most important step of them all, where you will need to pick a niche and a service, which will need to be a business that has at least $10,000 a month, because if they make less, then they're not going to be able to pay for your fee accordingly. Number 3, arbitrate. Here, you'll need to hire an experienced contractor who you're gonna pay on a per-service basis. This way, you don't have to pay for anyone out of your pocket. Number 4, reach out. Once you're all set up, you can start reaching out to potential clients. And remember, if you take advantage of contractor arbitrage, you won't have to deliver work yourself and will be able to focus 80% of your time to reach out to potential clients. Once you manage to execute this process correctly, you'll start getting 3 to 4 new clients per month. And let's say you earn $2,000 per month from each, which leaves you with $6,000 to $8,000 recurring revenue every month, making it $72,000 on the lower end and $96,000 on the higher end. Just don't forget that before you start everything, you should spend time researching and picking the right niche, and then follow the 4 steps. This brings us to the end of today's video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let us know in the comments which niche you're going to pick for your business, and make sure to hit the bell button to get notified whenever we post.